Team, this week's video is focusing all about the deadlift, the hinge-based movement that works our posterior chain, one of the most efficient ways to build up your overall body strength. Really efficient when done right, but can be a bit catastrophic if done wrong. We're going to focus on this today and make sure you're doing it correctly. Right team, so we're going to go through the deadlift movement. Now, luckily for you guys, I've got my sexy assistant. It makes sense that this comes out this week. Now, we're going to work through the hip hinge together. So deadlift is the pinnacle of the movement. We're going to start with the hip hinge. Hip hinge is the most important part of the deadlift. We want to make sure that that is done efficiently. Now, Connor's going to go through a hip hinge. What he wants to do, he wants to break at the hips, hands on his thighs, soften the knees, and he sinks his glutes away towards the back wall. Notice how he keeps a nice, strong, straight back. His spine stays in line. What we see a lot of is the chin wants to lift up. We tuck it back under. If you watch his spine now, he's in neutral. As he comes back up, he can drive those glutes forward, and that gets a full extension. We'll go through it one more time. So he flexes in those hips. He comes down, he gets his spine in neutral. Connor's got a good range of movement because his hamstrings are relatively loose. He's going to come back up, get that full spinal extension, stand up nice and tall. Notice how he doesn't hyperextend that back as well. He doesn't drive his hips too far forward as well. So once you've established the hip hinge movement, and once you're happy that your hamstrings are nice and healthy and they feel like they can progress through the movement, if you feel like your client's back is nice and strong and your head can form in perfect neutral spine, what we can do then is start adding some weight. Now we don't want to rush the movement, we don't want to go straight into a barbell deadlift. Ideally we want to go for a kettlebell deadlift or a dumbbell deadlift. Today we're going to focus on the kettlebell. What we're going to do is going to hinge at the knees. We're going to put those hands back on the thighs, we're going to break at the hips, push down, we're going to go through that hinge one more time just to make sure our client is completely happy and healthy. Yeah, he looks great. So what we're going to do, we're going to give him a kettlebell. Now ideally we stand or we start a little bit lighter. What we want to make sure with our client, we make sure that the kettlebell is between those toes. If your client feels like they need to, you can get those feet slightly wider. But where we know that Connor's hamstrings are nice and healthy, we can go relatively close in a neutral stance. What we're going to then get Connor to do is go through that same movement. So break at the hips, soft at the knees, keep that spine in line. He wants to come down, grab the weight. Now if the client struggles to get down that low, you can put some plates underneath to raise that kettlebell up. He's then going to lock those shoulders in. He's going to put them in his pockets, so his lats are fired up, his core is braced, his tummy is nice and tight. He's then going to lift up in a nice neutral linear movement, standing up nice and tall, driving his hips through. Now the muscles we really want to work now are his glutes. So really important, his glutes are fired up, because that will help protect his lower back. As he lowers it, if you watch, he flexes again in those hips, breaks to those knees, he comes all the way down, keeps those shoulders back, lats in those pockets, touches the floor, stands back up. So last progression on from the kettlebell is into the barbell deadlift. Now there are various ways you can go through a barbell deadlift, but we're going to go through a conventional deadlift today. Now, once we've established that Connor's hamstrings are happy and healthy, his shoulders can sit back into his pockets, his lats can fire up, his core can engage, we are going to introduce this exercise here. So, Connor's going to approach the bar, he's going to make sure his feet sit underneath the bar. He's going to find a nice neutral stance wherever his hips lie. He wants to make sure his feet and heels are in line with those. He's going to drop his hands. Both are going to come for an overhand grip today. Once he's in that established position, we can see that maybe there's a slight lower back tightness. So we're going to get him to break a little bit lower into that hinge. That's it. Shoulders want to squeeze back, lats want to fire up. Now he's going to use the weight of his body into his heels to generate that force to drive this bar up into the sky, keeping it nice and close to his body. Again, making sure his hips and his glutes are braced. So if Connor carries out that movement, so if he goes at a nice steady pace, Watch how he keeps it close to his knees, close to his thighs, close to his shins, all the way through that movement. Again, once he's established that position, he's touched the floor, he locks his lats back in, stands up, full extension. Again, notice what his chin is doing. He's keeping in a nice neutral alignment, comes down, drives, all the way up and through. One last coaching tip that you can encourage your client to do is push the world away from you. Yeah, so as they come down, they hold it, they're strong, 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 strong. But what I want him to do now is push the world away from him and the bar will come up nice and easily. Don't rush your weight with this because we don't want your back to round. Keep it strong. So guys, that was our deadlift. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on and stay tuned for our next video. Working through those movement patterns. Until next time, see you later.